Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week. We thank you very much for coming to this show, Speak of Africa. We have a lot of news for you today. When we look at the week, the news week, what are the headlines? The G20 meeting in Brazil is really drawing a lot of attention, but part of attention remains the scramble for Africa. The scramble for Africa 2.0, as I call it. A lot of countries are taking advantage of Africans. Most of these countries are fighting for Africa's resources. While Africans are sleeping, worshiping God, the God of Israel, the God that the Israeli don't even worship, Africans are sleeping. So these foreigners, Americans, other Europeans like French, Chinese, Russians, they are scrambling for Africa's resources. They are doing everything to put their hands on Africa's resources. And this is the problem. Some brothers are even sounding like the voice of reason. I've watched a lot of videos, which some of you sent to us. They are just complaining about the way pastors are dominating the African landscape. They are preaching prosperity gospel, feel good, die rich. But when we look at this, why are our people very consumed with religion when they should be consumed by the need to live better, the need to solve their own problems? Which is why we're focusing on Africans' problems, and a video like the one that talks about the voice of reason we'll share with you. So at the end, Russia is presenting herself like the leader of anti-neocolonialism. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, is now the poster boy of the movement to break the chains of neocolonialism in Africa. That's the message. You may not like Vladimir Putin, but that's the way he has succeeded in branding himself as the guy who wants to end neocolonialism in Africa. And a lot of Africans are championing his cause. They are clapping for him. And you look at what is happening in the motherland today. Look at the Sahel countries. They are all pivoting towards Russia, away from their colonial master, France, because they've had it up to here. They are really anti-French. So that's the story we're focusing on. Too much trouble in Africa, too much trouble in Africa, and we're telling you, let's start with Ambazonia. Well, we've told the Ambazonia stories now to you for so many years. Every week we tell the same story or a new chapter of the same story. Today, what is happening in Ambazonia? Well, some people will tell you the revolution is dead. Will tell you it is not. From what you guys are sharing with us from the ground, we know that there is action. This week, we saw a video. So many of you sent us this video. It looks like after the ADF, Ambazonia Defense Forces, after they lost General Efang, they've decided to up their game. They are really angry. So they have been expanding the sphere of economic sabotage. Economic sabotage is a system designed to break the will of La République du Cameroon. La République du Cameroon is sending big trucks to Ambazonia to take resources, then take these resources to the French area. ADF, Ambazonia Defense Forces, is against this economic exploitation. So they've come up with a game of economic sabotage, the burning of the vehicles belonging to La République. This is what is happening. So this week, we saw the burning of a lot of these vehicles in Ambazonia. You will not believe it. Take a look at this video, which shows a big vehicle burning. So many trucks carrying sand and other stuff in Ambazonia. ADF is burning this right in your face. Watch.
now, we never see no people say the other people than they.
Thank you very much for watching the video of the ADF burning of these vehicles. Then we also hear that there was the Mount Cameroon race, or the Fako Mountain race. But what is happening? It looks like a Kenyan athlete died. May his soul rest in peace. Anytime we lose people in Africa, we feel bad about it. But what is happening in La République du Cameroon? Well, in La République du Cameroon, all eyes are on 2025. This is the year Biya will decide whether he wants to run again or he wants to choose a successor. For so long, Paul Biya does not want to choose a successor. But people are speculating. People are thinking that Biya has already made up his mind that the only person who can succeed him is his son, Frank Biya. A whole movement has arisen called the Frankists, who are supporting the idea of Frank Biya as a candidate for president in 2025. But life is funny. Maybe Biya himself wants to be a candidate. People may complain that he's invisible, he's a ghost, but the ghost never wants to die. Probably only death will prevent Paul Biya from standing for election in 2025. You guys send us pictures of Biya's plan, Cameroon in 2035. Well, it's a joke. You still have mud roads everywhere, bad roads, bad infrastructure. The people are living. You ask yourself, what is happening? Well, you guys also shared a lot of stories in La République du Cameroon dealing with the disaffection of the youth. In his end of year speech, Paul Biya drew attention to youth migration. A lot of people are leaving La République du Cameroon in search of greener pastures. You have folks like nurses, doctors, and teachers. They are leaving the country en masse. So Paul Biya was complaining about a brain drain. Why is he complaining? He cannot really understand why people are leaving his country. Well, they are leaving his country because of political dictatorship, lack of freedoms. They are leaving La République du Cameroon because the country lacks opportunities for the young people, okay? The young people graduate from the university, but there are no jobs for them. So you see people in the market with university degrees doing petty trade in the market with a degree in their pocket. Is this normal in a country? No, because the education that they receive is colonial education. Colonial education does not take into cognizance the reality of the economy. These guys need to learn stuff that is profitable in the world economy, in the global economy. Yet you teach them empty rhetoric, which they cannot use. What they need is functional education. At the same time, Paul Biya needs to create an enabling environment. He talks about youth creating jobs, creating businesses. How can you create a business in a graveyard? La République du Cameroon is a graveyard. People just go there to die, or when they die, they take them there. That's basically what a graveyard is for. And that's what La République du Cameroon is. It's a graveyard. So most people are choosing to leave this graveyard in search of greener pastures. Europe is even making it difficult for most of these Cameroonians to leave and come to Europe. They don't want them. They don't want the immigrants. And that's the sad part with life in La République du Cameroon. Even Biya's own accomplices, like Kaveh Jibril. Finally, his people are complaining about famine in the north, and Biya doesn't want him to talk about famine in the north. But Kaveh Jibril is forced to speak for his people, even though the Cameroon government has prevented him from speaking. He's speaking nonetheless. Okay? So things are really tough for our people in Africa this week. And we are going to be looking at the news. It looks like the center is on ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. This is a movement to save this organization. ECOWAS was created, probably the only living founders is Yakubu Gowon of Nigeria. This week, Yakubu Gowon has come out. He has persuaded Bola Tinubu, the new president of Nigeria, to look for ways to save ECOWAS. Mali, Niger have decided to withdraw from ECOWAS. And this is making ECOWAS to teeter to the end of extinction. What's going to happen? As a result, this morning we understand that ECOWAS has decided to lift sanctions against Niger. So Niger now has won. Just imagine, Macron was behind threatening. We want ECOWAS to invade Niger. Why does France want Africans to do the dirty job of France? Because for a long time, France has installed puppet leaders who don't love their country. In Asia, you have leaders who are patriotic. In Africa, you have leaders who only serve their personal interests. They don't care about national interests. We said this last week. France needs such puppets to keep the French franc alive. But Africans have come of age. They finally understood that the French franc and France's colonial methods are not working. They need change. And France doesn't like this. In Mali, for example, you guys sent us some videos of some young Malians who are very patriotic. France decided not to honor the contract they had to maintain their computer system. But these 10 Malians worked very hard for 2 to 3 weeks to break the code and passwords that were being taken to France. Finally, they were able to restore their system. Okay? So this is something good. Assimi Goïta even came out to praise these young Malians. And we also like what we saw. So take a minute and watch this video of the young Malians being celebrated by Assimi Goïta. At least for a change, we see an African leader honoring talent, the talent of young people. These guys are not from Europe. They are people from Mali. They did this job. France was trying to hide the codes from them and the passwords. But the guys were able to break into the system to uncover these passwords and run the system for themselves. This is a way of restoring African sovereignty. And we thank the young Malians for doing this. This is salutable. Okay?
Je disais à l'instant, le Mali dispose désormais d'un système informatique souverain de gestion des données du recensement administratif à vocation d'état civil RAVEC. La plateforme s'appelle Malicoura Biométrie. Le système a été développé par 13 experts maliens issus d'un comité technique mis en place par le ministère de l'administration territoriale et de la décentralisation. Malicoura Biométrie a été présenté ce matin au président de la transition, colonel Assimi Goïta, qui a justement décoré les experts pour leur acte patriotique. Garibou Pérou, Aboubakar Traoré, Adama Kamara.
Verrouillé, saboté, pris en otage par une société française, le Mali récupère avec succès son système informatique souverain de gestion des données du recensement administratif à vocation d'état civil RAVEC. C'est au bout de 2 mois et demi de batailles à intensité variée, le comité technique des experts bénévoles gagne cette guerre de souveraineté numérique Malicoura Biométrie.
Après 3 semaines de travail intensif jour et nuit, mon équipe et moi avons pu récupérer tous les mots de passe de tous les serveurs. Nous avons également récupéré et sécurisé les données de la population malienne. Sur le plan logiciel, le temps de démarrage de Malicoura Biométrie est de 10 minutes, contre 45 minutes pour l'ancien système. Le temps d'arrêt également est de 30 minutes, contre 4 heures pour l'ancien système.
This is great. Then what about DRC Congo? Well, there is so much trouble in Congo. The conflict between Tshisekedi and Paul Kagame has come to a head. This week, we saw France and the United States standing with Felix Tshisekedi. They are against Rwanda. Paul Kagame of Rwanda has been accused finally by these world powers. Before, people were saying that Paul Kagame was the darling of America, the darling of Britain. But today, all these foreign powers, we don't know whether Felix Tshisekedi has given them something, but now they are supporting Congo DRC. They are saying that M23, the rebel group that is fighting in the east of Congo DRC, should leave. They are telling Paul Kagame to pull his support, withdraw his support from the M23. And the way we see it, they're putting a lot of pressure on Rwanda to withdraw from the east. A lot of people have been dying. Life has been miserable for the Congolese people because they are weak and Paul Kagame is stealing their resources. We've said it on this show so many times. Finally, people are knowing that what we've been saying is true. How can you have Rwanda, a small country with no resources, but they have places where they want to start refining natural resources? Come on. So Paul Kagame doesn't want to leave because they want to feed off the wealth of Congo DRC. So this is like a tap. You don't want to turn it off. If you turn it off, where are you going to get water? There will be no water for you to drink. So Paul Kagame doesn't want to commit suicide. He will continue exploiting the riches of the Congo. He gives the excuse, which is an alibi. Oh no, we're doing this for our own national interest, security, because the FDLR who are in Congo, they are enmeshed in the Congolese army. They are going to attack us. Lie, big lie. Finally, we're happy because the big powers, the United States and France, are smelling the coffee. If they withdraw their support from Kagame, we know Kagame is going to fall. And we know this fighting in the Great Lakes will come to an end. But so long as they don't do this, there will be more trouble in the Great Lakes region. Next, we take you to Senegal. In Senegal, we've been following the events in Senegal very, very closely. Senegal has always been a model democracy in Africa. But for many weeks, a constitutional coup d'etat took place. Elections were supposed to take place on February 25th. Macky Sall, the sit-tight president, decided to organize this coup d'etat so he can stay in power for a long time. At first he said, well, elections have been banned. They will not take place for a very long time, maybe 9 months or a year. Because of people power, people went to the street and protested. He had to make a change. He has to allow them now to organize free and fair elections. But the opposition is now saying, we need a specific date. Macky Sall may say, I'm going to leave on April 2nd, but the elections need to be scheduled. When have you scheduled the elections? Then what about Karim Wade? What about Ousmane Sanko? What is their fate? Are they going to take part in these elections? Are they going to be candidates for president? That's what Inquiring Minds wants to know. Okay? Then we take you also to South Africa. For over 30 years, since 1994, the African National Congress, the party called ANC, has ruled South Africa, starting with Nelson Mandela, Madiba. People were hoping that there will be a whole lot of changes taking place in South Africa. The blacks would start having a form of parity with the whites, at least politically, even though not economically. But people were also hopeful that the blacks will be able to build the economy so that the economy can work for a lot of black people. During the apartheid days, we know the lives of blacks have really been miserable. People were hopeful that the ANC would usher in a new era where the black people would have a better life. But the blacks have really been disappointed because the ANC is a party which is now on trial. For the first time, the ANC may lose elections on May 29th. Okay, that's when the new presidential elections are taking place in South Africa. Chances are that the ANC will lose its majority and they may even lose this presidential election. So Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, is making all this noise, new political manifesto, but it looks like the ANC is in difficulties. One, the people don't really believe the manifesto because they feel there's too much corruption. Cyril Ramaphosa is not Mr. Clean. A lot of money was stolen from his farm. Where did the money come from? He's not been able to answer these questions. And the people are asking more and more questions dealing with this corruption. You may think Jacob Zuma was a corrupt guy, but you have a litany of corruption all over South Africa. So it just tells you that among the black folks, apart from Nelson Mandela, most of the African presidents are not really above the fray. Corruption is too much. The people are losing faith in the ANC because of corruption. In addition, there is the issue of massive unemployment. The young people in South Africa need jobs. Sometimes they feel foreigners are taking their jobs because jobs are scarce. Cyril Ramaphosa is a business person. Why is he not doing a good job creating more jobs for the young people of South Africa? That's the question inquiring minds are asking. Then, of course, there is the issue of power outages. South Africa is a superpower, for God's sake. It was even a nuclear power before power was taken from the whites and given to black people. Because the black people gained control of the political machinery, the whites decided to do away with the nuclear weapons. But South Africa is a big power. Sometimes they have to ration power. Why can South Africa not produce enough power to light the whole country? Those are the issues that are bedeviling the country. Other parties, like Economic Freedom Party by Julius Malema, they seem to be gaining grounds. The opposition is really gaining ground, and people are looking at Julius Malema favorably because his message resonates with the people. He wants to take a lot of the land and give back to black people. And that's what black people want. You have Jews in South Africa, for example. How can South Africa become a country of Jews? This is an African country. But you have Jews making a lot of noise, and now they are challenging Cyril Ramaphosa that he's anti-Israel. So they are speaking. Why are they not speaking in Israel? Why are they in South Africa? So South Africa has a problem. So they may have to ship all these people back to Israel because South Africa doesn't belong to them. And that's what we see. So the next election is going to be really fundamental. It will change a lot of things because the people are unhappy. So the opposition may have to take over the country. Then we'll see what will happen.
Tired of waiting in long lines at the emergency room or your doctor's office? You should be. Why wait in long lines for care? It's time for you to come to Lucille Urgent Care. Real care, no waiting. Lucille Urgent Care, the best place for true and loving care. Service at Lucille Urgent Care is convenient, fast, time-efficient, affordable, accessible, transparent, and cost-effective. Royal treatment is your right. Indeed, it's not just a privilege or pejorative. Skip the emergency room's long lines, kiss the ER goodbye, say farewell to your old doctor's office, pay less, save time, enjoy the excitement of convenience, receive immediate treatment, get the healthcare you need quickly and affordably. Lucille Urgent Care offers many express services: rapid COVID-19 testing, on-site prescription, preventative lab services, imaging and x-rays, urgent medical treatment for common illnesses and injuries, routine vaccines and flu shots, work-related injury services, pre-employment, occupational, annual, and sports physicals, immigration exams, and much more. Same-day treatment, rapid lab results, extended hours, weekend hours, no appointment necessary, no insurance necessary, no doctor necessary, walk-ins accepted, telemedicine available. We are open 7 days a week with evening and weekend hours. We are located in Maryland. Lucille Urgent Care, 903 Half York Road, Towson, Maryland, 21204. Website, lucilleuc.com. Call at 443-275-1286 or 301-593-4897.
Then finally, we take you to Sudan. Sudan is a very big country. As we've been telling you, fighting has been going on in this country. two friends who united to oust al-Bashir are now tearing the country apart. These are two generals, Al-Berman and Delgado Hemeti. These two guys believe Sudan belongs to them. They are tearing the country apart because of their volcanic ambition. So what's going to happen? We don't know yet, but we know that the fighting continues and the people see what is happening. So when we see what is happening, we ask ourselves, what is the solution for Africa? The solution, we think, is we have to believe in African identity. Africans have to be Africans. Africans don't have to behave like they are Europeans. So we have to solve African problems with African solutions. Indigenous African institutions. We've talked to you about the late George Bernard Ayite. His book titled Indigenous African Institutions tells us the way we solve our problems in Africa is to look back at our roots and come up with solutions. Look at China. In order to develop, China had to develop with a Chinese identity. Look at America. In order for America to develop, America had to leave Europe alone and develop with an American identity. Look at Japan. In order for Japan to develop, Japan had to develop with their own culture. Look at Korea. In order for Korea to develop, Korea has to develop with a Korean identity. But with us Africans, we are a confused people. Okay? We cannot develop because we are pretending to be Europeans when we are not Europeans. In fact, we have a video which we want to end this show with. A young guy who say the voice of reason, because he's really telling us what we need to do in order to develop. Okay? We have to be ourselves. We have to be Africans. We have to accept our Africanness. That's the only way forward for Africa. We have to love ourselves. We have to love our continent. We have to unite. And that's what the guys in the Sahel are trying to do. Ibrahim Traoré, all hail. Mamadi Doumbouya. In Mali, we have Assimi Goïta. In Niger, we have Abdurrahman Chiani. These are all the new heroes in Africa. They are making changes. So let's leave the show today with a video, The Voice of Reason. Bye-bye.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.